This is week 4, Essentials. This is our Essentials of the English Language. So, how many parts of speech are there? There are 8 parts of speech. And which 3 parts have we discussed so far? Well, we've discussed verb and we have discussed noun, and we've discussed pronoun. And this week we are going to learn about a really fun part of speech, and that is called an interjection. And an interjection is a word or phrase used as a strong expression of feeling or emotion. Interjections are kind of unusual in that they aren't actually grammatically connected to a sentence. They are exclamatory words whose sole responsibility is to show emotion. They are, in a sense, just thrown in there. The word interjection comes from the Latin word interjectus, which means thrown between. So we can say an interjection means thrown between. And that is exactly what happens, is they're usually just thrown in a sentence, and we will go over that in just a minute. Interjections are normally one word, but they can be a group of words. So if the emotion is not strong, a lot of times you will just see a comma and the sentence go on. So an example of that is what I have here. Ouch, the stove is hot. So we use our interjection is ouch, and we use the comma, and the sentence went on. And that set that interjection apart with the comma. Interjections can also be followed with an exclamation point. And like I said, it could be followed with a comma, or we could have a period at the end of a sentence. So here's a fun fact about interjections, and you probably have already noticed that by what you see on the board. They're a pirate's favorite part of speech. So let's look at these following examples. Ahoy. And this is a one-word interjection. Shiver me timbers! With our exclamation point, and that is a group of words that is serving as an interjection. Arr, I lost me treasure. Arr is our interjection, and then it was not showing that much emotion, so it was a comma, and the sentence went on. Aye, a pirate's life for me. And notice this sentence ended with a period because there is not much emotion with it, and we had I as our interjection, and then we said a pirate's life for me. So this week there is no interjection chart. You will be just reviewing charts A through F this week. But the definition is mentioned on chart J, and we will get more into that on week 8. So I would like for you to learn the definition of interjection this week, and maybe try to use an interjection in your writing if you want to. So I'm going to give you some practice with some interjections. I will give you a situation, and I want you to come up with an interjection that you think you might could use. So if I said you touched a hot stove, well, of course we could say, ouch, the stove is hot. Or if I said you scored the winning point, yay, I scored the winning point. Or you forgot your IW paper at home. Oops, I forgot my IW paper at home. You received a gift card for $100. Woohoo! I received $100. You found out that you're getting a new pet. You could say, boo, I'm getting a new pet. Or, yay, I'm getting a new pet. You fell and need assistance getting up. Darn, I fell and need someone to help get me up. Your mom made your favorite dessert just for you. Gee, thanks, Mom. That wouldn't be a very nice interjection, but it's an interjection that we used in class today. So these are interjections. If you have any questions, let me know. And now we're going to move on to our imperative purpose, and we will be using this with our analytical task sheet this week. So if you will remember, our 4 sentence purposes are declarative, exclamatory, interrogative, and imperative. And we're going to focus on imperative. And if you will remember, last week we focused on declarative and exclamatory. And if you'll remember, declarative makes a statement and it ends with a period, and exclamatory expresses emotion and ends with an exclamation point. So we're going to talk about the imperative purpose today. And the imperative purpose makes a command. So I want to look at a sentence. Gideon ran. Well, this is just a statement right now. It is telling us that Gideon ran. It ends with a period. Well, I can make that an exclamatory sentence by just adding an exclamation point. Gideon ran! Now, how would I make this an imperative sentence? To make this an imperative sentence, I would simply drop my subject, which is Gideon. I would change ran to run because we need it to be in the second person. And now I have run, which makes it imperative. I'm giving a command. So, what is the second person? Do you remember? That is you. You is the second person. So now our subject becomes implied. It is implying that you run, even though you don't see it. So we could write that in parentheses because it's not part of the sentence. So you run. So when we request or command someone to do something, we are using an imperative sentence. And we naturally use present tense verbs. So the simple present tense of ran, like in our Gideon ran, would be run. Like I run, you run. Okay, so let's try a few more. If I say, Mom hugs me, how can I make that imperative? I drop my subject, Mom. I make this hug me. And my subject would be you, which is implied. Okay? If I said, Dad laughed, I would make that imperative by dropping my subject, changing laugh to my present tense, and then my subject becomes the implied you. So laugh makes that sentence an imperative. If I say the baby cried. All right, I take off my subject, which is baby. The was describing baby. Now that baby's not there, we need to take the away as well. And I need to make cry the present tense. Well, the present tense of cry is cry. So now I have an imperative sentence, cry. My subject becomes you, which is implied. All right, the last one. The chef is making dinner. is making dinner. Chef. So chef is my subject. It needs to come off. The is my adjective describing chef, so I no longer need it. Is making dinner. I have to make making a present tense, so it becomes make, and then we say dinner. Make dinner. And that is our imperative sentence. And what is our subject? Our subject is the implied you. So this is the imperative purpose. All right, so we're going to look at our analytical task sheet. And last week we discussed about going through steps 1 through 3. Well, this week we're going to add number 4, which is diagramming. So, do you know why diagramming is so important? Diagramming is important because it allows you to determine if the grammar is correct and to challenge us to understand the role of every word in the sentence. So last week we used the sentence, Coco ran. And to go through our analytical task sheet, we would ask ourselves the question, do we have a subject? Yes. Do we have a verb? Yes. Do we have a capital letter? Yes. Do we have an end mark? Yes. And does the sentence make complete sense? Yes. So now knowing that, we ask ourselves what purpose this sentence is. Is it a simple sentence? Is it a compound sentence? Is it a complex sentence or a compound complex? Well, we do not have a fanboy. We do not have a www.asia.wa. We do not have both of those. So this is a simple sentence. Now we look at our end mark here, and it's a period. That could tell us two things. This is either a declarative sentence, which makes a statement, or it could be an imperative sentence. Well, since we do have a subject and it's not an implied you, this sentence is a declarative sentence. All right, so we have a simple declarative sentence. Okay, how am I, and then I'm going to ask myself, who ran? And that's Coco. That becomes our subject noun. And ask ourselves, what did Coco do? She ran, so that becomes our verb. There's nothing that follows ran, so we stop, making it a verb intransitive. All right, and so now we can diagram this sentence because we have labeled the parts. So we will draw a horizontal line with a vertical line to separate our subject and our predicate. So what is our subject? Our subject is Coco. And anytime it is capitalized in the sentence, it needs to be capitalized on this line. And what is our predicate? It is ran. You do not use punctuation when you're diagramming. The subject, the verb, other nouns, pronouns, predicate adjectives, they are all part of the sentence pattern, and they are put on this horizontal line. If it is a word that is modifying one of these words, then that modifier would come off of this vertical or this horizontal line. Exclamations, imperatives, nouns of a direct address, they are placed on a platform up here above your sentence. And we will go over that in just a minute. All right, so if I did wow, Coco ran, I have just changed this to what kind of sentence? It is still a simple sentence, but now we have used an interrogative with that simple sentence, and it is an exclamatory sentence, no longer a declarative sentence. So, how do I diagram the wow? I make my line here, and I write wow. I capitalize wow because it is capitalized in my sentence. So, how could I make this sentence an imperative? Well, I would take my wow off, and I would take Coco off. And remember, I turn ran into run, because that is my present tense. I can put my exclamation point, run. So we are still simple exclamatory sentence, but we took Coco off. So how do I diagram an imperative sentence? I put my implied you here, capitalize it, put it in parentheses because it is not part of the sentence you see, and then I write run. No, because that is my verb. Notice that I capitalized run. The reason I did that was because run is capitalized in your sentence. Okay, so this is how we diagram an imperative sentence. So this week, you will focus on charts A through F, just reviewing those. Learn the definition of an interrogative. On your analytical task sheets, you'll do task 1 through 4 this week. For first-year students, try to get sentences 1 through 3 done. If you want to try to tackle 4 and 5, great. But if you can't, no problem. Advanced students, I want you to try to do 1 through 5 on the sentences. These are just a little more difficult. And if you have any questions, send me an email, give me a call, or send me a text.